Watching Outnumbered, and we are glad that you are. Growing controversy over Iran's capture and release of our 10 U.S. sailors in the Persian Gulf. The Iranian government released this video. You may have seen it. Many are calling it propaganda, taunting the United States. It shows the sailors on their knees with their hands on their heads. Iran seized our 9 men and 1 woman when one of our Navy boats apparently had a problem and drifted into Iranian waters. And of course, that set off hours of negotiations before they were released. The Obama administration claims no one was hurt. Secretary of State John Kerry thanked Iran for cooperating, saying the peaceful resolution of the incident serves as a testament to diplomacy. Dean is shaking his head. But the head of Iran's armed services says this, quote, "This incident in the Persian Gulf, which probably will not be the American forces' last mistake in the region, should be a lesson to troublemakers in the U.S. Congress," end quote. The Obama administration also saying no apology was needed for those sailors to be released. But this video is causing some serious concern that Iran may have coerced our soldiers' apparent apology, our sailor, as part of its attempt to humiliate America.
It was a mistake. That was our fault, and we apologize for our mistake. The Iranian behavior was fantastic while we were here. We thank you very much for your hospitality and your assistance.
Didn't have a special problem?
We had no problem, sir.
Senator John McCain, a former prisoner of war, says what Iran did appears to violate international law, and he is blasting the Obama administration for how it's handling the entire situation. Watch.
This is a great propaganda coup for the Iranians. In other words, well, their head of their IRGC Navy said the U.S. cannot stand up to Iran. They were in sight of our missiles. He said if this had happened, it would have led to their annihilation. And then unbelievably, Biden said this was just standard nautical practice. Kerry said all indications show the sailors were taken care of. Ernest, that idiot, said the proper courtesy. Iran gave our sailors the proper courtesy that you'd expect. And Kerry, to top it all off, expressed his gratitude.
He didn't even use air quotes when he called Josh Earnest an idiot. Dean, you were shaking your head so hard there. I know you're so supportive and advocate for our military. What are your thoughts about the story?
Well, seeing our sailors sitting there on their knees with their hands on the back of their heads like that makes me sick to my stomach. You know, a great buddy of mine is captain of the Truman right out there right now, and he's a kid I went to college with. And, you know, they shot a missile 1,500 meters from the ship not that long ago. I don't know how diplomatic that is or how they're cooperating there. I think, you know, they see it as weakness, and they see us as very weak right now, and I think that propaganda made me sick. I think Senator McCain certainly knows what he speaks. I saw Judge Napolitano on earlier talking today, whether that violated the Geneva Convention or not. Right. I think it did, and I think it's disgusting. And that guy, you know, I'm sure he was coerced or scared out of his pants, or what the deal was.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because in 2007, when they took some British sailors and held them for up to 2 weeks, they in fact were under duress, is how it was reported, to do the exact same thing that we saw our sailor doing on camera. And almost some of the words were similar in his apology.
Right. This was an escalation. What Iran did was an escalation. And for, you know, John Kerry to be out there trying to set the tone through the henhouse echo chamber that is Washington, D.C., with his own propaganda that this was some kind of diplomatic victory is impenetrably absurd. I mean, what Iran, we don't know the facts and circumstances, but Iran possibly could have warned the ships. They could have chased them out of their area and caused them to flee. Instead, they took them, put them into what appears to be a jail cell, and made the female soldier to wear a head
cover, as if she were actually in Iran. So, you know, what's interesting about this whole thing, though, as you kind of go forward with this, is we've got the deal that's coming that's going to lift those sanctions for $100 billion with Iran. But it seems like Republicans are angry at the White House, then the White House is angry at Iran. How is that possible?
Well, the thing here is with what just happened with them taking our sailors into custody and treating them like prisoners, they could have asked a nice question about, hey, can we help you with the mechanical problem that you're having, since we have this new relationship that the White House is touting. But this was the Iranian direct response to Congress's threat to impose more sanctions after Iran has fired missiles off, violating UN sanctions and UN agreements. So that was a direct response from the Iranians. And once again, it goes to show, we've been saying this for years, that appeasement to our enemies doesn't work. It emboldens them, and for them to even take them into custody was a bold move on their part.
Yeah,
they know they can get away with it.
The Navy personnel who are out there are an extension of the Iranian Revolution Revolutionary Guard. So that is the most radical part of their military apparatus in Iran. So we are blessed our guys are okay. But you know, it's also interesting, too. This could be almost used as a GOP campaign ad. Like, we're angry with the White House, the Republicans could say. Who's the White House angry at?
Well, some of the Republican responses weren't that fantastic yesterday either. I mean, they were a little bit disappointing. Katie's absolutely right. I mean, all you have to do is look at what's coming out of Tehran today. They're saying that this is proof, or I should say, I'm sorry, this was a lesson to troublemakers in the U.S. Congress. They admit that what they did was an act of provocation to humiliate, embarrass, and threaten the United States of America. What you hear from Democrats this morning is diplomacy is working. This is a good thing. Kerry expressing gratitudes for our enemy to humiliate the United States Navy and the United States of America. I mean, think about this. Harris, they abandoned a heavily armed gunship for a small bass boat. They left their weapons, got on their hands and knees, were possibly coerced into an apology. And now the Democrats say this is great. This is a good thing. And Iran stands up and says, we're actually doing this to threaten you. And Democrats say, no, we're not.
Well, look at the difference between yesterday and today, what we know. We were talking about capitulation yesterday, and we didn't even have the apology video.
Right.
So there's so much more to come. We'll cover it as it happens.